Hello and welcome to the Congo Hour. We want to thank you so much for joining us. We were supposed to have two guests, right, Wayne? But I think
maybe they're coming.
Okay, well, we'll keep the faith in. Maybe they're on their way, but nevertheless, we're going to move forward. We have a great friend of the show, Mr. Donald Morton, here with us this evening. He's coming to talk about his new book called Faces. Faces. That should be a very interesting interview. We have Sammy's Corner.
Hopefully.
Coming at he's supposed to be here at 8:30. He said he definitely was coming this evening, so we'll see.
Okay,
but if not, we have a lot to talk about. So we have
Most
plenty to talk about, so we can fill in for him until he gets here. Then, as always, we have our community news. We have some wedding celebration announcements.
Okay.
And we have our funeral announcements. All right. So I guess we'll go into our interview.
All right.
Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you for
feeling?
having me. I feel incredible. It's a good day.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So what brings you down tonight?
Well, I wrote a new book called Faces: The Evolution of Authenticity, which is a book about a person getting to a place where they can live their true and authentic self, because most of the time we've been trained to be fake, and to be people that everybody else wants us to be, use language that everybody else wants us to use, and never get to a place. A lot of people die without ever getting to a place of authenticity. So I wrote the book, which is primarily my own personal journey, but the prayer that I had with God is that people would be able to find themselves within the pages of the book. And so while it is my own personal journey, we've had countless testimonies of people who acknowledge, what, man, when I read it, I saw several faces that I've put on over the course of my life, and so it's been helpful to people.
That's good.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was saying, because we have the Facebook, the Congo Hour Facebook page, and I put on there that that Donald was coming. So my daughter was like, wondering how it was going to be, with Donald coming on.
Right.
Don't start.
Okay,
tripping.
sorry.
Please.
I said sorry. I
start.
just said sorry.
Okay. All right. Okay. But she and I had this dialogue because I am a person that's transparent. I think it's important that when you come on here, that people can see that after divorce, you can still be cordial, you can still be friends, and the book is an awesome book. I had the opportunity to read it. So when
Did you have to pay for it? He charged you?
He charged me. But I got the early bird special.
brother got to eat.
I don't blame you.
Right, okay. That's okay, because he's still got to buy mine, which costs more than his. So
that's right.
it's going to work out. But no, on a serious note, I thought it was important that he comes on and shares. And I think this is our first time being on being on television together since our divorce. So the book, I think, is very important, and I believe that it will be not only an eye-opener, but freedom for someone else. Because I always say there's someone out there who is going through, has been going through, or may go through the same things that we go through in life.
Absolutely.
So,
particularly as leaders, those that have reached the proverbial status that leaders have, it's a lot of pressure in being a leader. And most times people don't think we have frailties, or we're not fragmented. Everything's always together all the time. And that really isn't the case. It's not realistic. We saw that when Tiger Woods fell. Remember when Tiger Woods fell, everybody tripped out as if he wasn't human. And so I think it was important that we realize not just the frailties, but how we get there. Because some of our falls and the challenges that we have everything to do with us attempting to be something we're really not. And particularly as a pastor, there's a lot of pressure in being a pastor, particularly being a moral leader, and you don't always live up to that standard. And there are a lot of pastors who would not acknowledge that. I'm just one of them that will, that it's difficult living up to not just the standard that God has, but the standard that people have of you, and you don't always hit the mark.
But I think that is across the board, period. Not just with pastors, with people, period. People put so much stock and expectation on
Absolutely.
how you're supposed to be, as if we're not all human.
Absolutely.
So.
The first chapter of the book is something called Face Off. There was a movie years ago with John Travolta and Nicolas Cage where they switch faces. As you know, after Nicolas Cage attempts to kill John Travolta, he really kills John Travolta's son. And so in the book, what I use as a principle is the fact that oftentimes when he wakes up from anesthesia after putting on Nicolas Cage's face, he fights the person he sees in the mirror because he recognizes that's the face that once tried to kill him. That sometimes the faces that we put on, we do it for everybody else so everybody else is comfortable, but really those faces are attempting to kill us. And even if they don't kill us, they kill the things that are closest to us. And so it's really important that we learn how to be authentic. And a part of what God said to me in my own personal journey was, when I die, and all of us gonna die, Jesus tarries, when I die, that it would be me in the casket, that it would not be anybody else in the casket, that it would be me there. And I've determined for the rest of my life that whoever likes it, whoever doesn't like it, don't like it, but I'm gonna be authentically me.
I'm laughing because sometimes I'm at funerals and the preacher is talking about this person. I'm like, who are they talking about? Like, that is not that person in the casket.
Right.
So that's good that you say that. We do have Donald's information, so if we could put it up there. We're shaking.
I guess we're having
technical difficulties. Okay.
Well, can you give us your contact information?
Yeah, they can get the book by going to www.donaldmorton.org. They can get it there. It's on Kindle, it's on Nook, it's on iBooks, so they can get it on any one of those places, or they can call the office at 325-9204. That's 325-9204. So they can get it at any one of those places.
Okay, so the face-off was chapter 1.
Yes.
Let's move on to another chapter.
There's another chapter that I think is important called Face It. That each chapter of the book is a different face. And so there's another chapter in the book called Face It, which means that at a certain point you have to face the fact that there are challenges that you're having and you can't run from them. Most of us never reach a place of turnaround because we refuse to face the fact that we're really disingenuous people and really not functioning in the manner that we're really supposed to be functioning in. So that's another chapter of the book, Face It, that you got to come to a place where you just face and own up to the mistakes you've made, the challenges you've had. You can't blame it on anybody else. These are really your decisions that you're making.
And it doesn't mean that you weren't called to do what you're still called to do.
And that's important. Here's everybody at church, Trippy, praises for several different reasons. And the praise I have is that he didn't take my assignment when I fell. There's a chapter 5 of the book, which is the most difficult part of the book, but it's the most helpful for people, called I Fell on My Face. And it's about moral indiscretion. That, sometimes, being a pastor or as you've said, any person, that we don't always, our lifestyles aren't always synonymous with the morality that we all are called to. And so I fell, but the good news is God is the God of another chance, and he's given me another chance. And so I'm grateful to God. I teared and cried through the entire time I wrote that chapter because I was extremely repentant. But I needed people to know that God is a God who loves the offender, even when what he's done is offensive. And so I'm incredibly grateful to God. Now, here's the deal, though, to your point, that while God forgave me, there are many people who haven't. And a part of what I had to embrace is the fact that that's consequences I got to deal with, right? That anytime you mess up, there are consequences to that. And yes, we pray and we snot and we spin and we do all of that, but there's still a group of people that haven't released me from the moral failure. And I understood that when I wrote the book, there would be people that didn't like it. I understood when I wrote the book, there would be colleagues that no longer invited me to preach. I understood all of that. But I refused to be in bondage the rest of my life to people holding stuff over me. Now, whatever it is they say is what they say, but I'm going to be free.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah. So we do have your number on the screen now.
Oh, good,
Right.
good.
I think we could do numbers, but not letters.
Okay, that's what it is.
I don't know what it. Oh, that's it. I knew I would figure it out.
So people can call the number on the screen. It's 325-9204, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
And they'll be able to leave a message, or
They'll be able to leave a message. Operators are standing by.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding. Yeah, my thing's tight.
Hunter.
Yeah. So I think for me, the book and the forward of the book is written by a friend of mine, Dr. Jamal Harrison Bryant, in Baltimore, Maryland. Wrote the forward of the book, and the book is doing incredibly well, because I think we would all be surprised, or perhaps not, at how many people say, you know what, I'm dealing with some of those same things. I did a men's meeting at Bishop Billy Lane's church recently, and shared the story. And afterwards, you're talking about 15 to 20 men at the altar crying before God, because they realize that they haven't always been what they really need to be. But they found themselves within the pages of the book. The book is selling well, and people are being helped. And ultimately, if my failures can be a help to somebody else, then I was willing to expose them so that people can be helped.
I think if they just purchase it for chapter 6, if you tell them chapter 6 is the best chapter, then they're going to buy it. Because people want to know. So
People want to know.
chapter 5.
Chapter 5.
Oh, chapter 5.
Chapter 5.
Oh, okay.
Chapter 5 of the book. Yeah.
what's that? That's Face It, right?
Chapter 5 of the book is I Fell on My Face.
I fell on my face. That's
Yes.
right. I fell on my face.
Yeah.
All right, I got you.
And so, thank you guys for having me on. I would really ask people to purchase the book, not just because I wrote it, but I genuinely believe, and I think Wayna can testify to the fact that it's a wonderful read,
And the
it's
freedom.
incredibly, it's freedom, man.
That's
Right.
Hopefully attain.
You know, people, and I love everybody, you know, those that have called me and cussed me out about it, those that have written anonymous letters about it, all of that's going on right now. But the one thing that I determined is that I'm always going to be me. And a part of what we have to learn is the importance of owning our mess. And certainly there are others who have, but they just haven't told anybody about it. And fortunately, God has given me another chance, and I won't mess this chance up.
Yeah, I mean, that takes a lot of courage to do what you have done. So
Thank you.
I definitely want to, thank you for that.
Most
Thank you.
definitely.
That took a lot. And I guess you guys, we started off talking about your divorce, and I want to, thank both of you guys for the way you handled it, because it wasn't, as far as I know, talking to you and talking to Eddie.
You know the truth.
Yeah, it wasn't mean spirited, and
Right.
I think that did wonders for Hunter.
Certainly.
Most
Yeah,
definitely.
and I think that out of it all, he came out a better person, because you guys were still friendly towards each other.
I think so.
It wasn't ugly.
I think it was important.
Yeah,
It was
definitely.
important that
Right.
the marriage didn't work. And because the marriage didn't work didn't mean that she wasn't a great woman, or I
Right,
wasn't a great
right.
man. The marriage didn't work. And what I've corrected verbiage with people that say, you guys failed at marriage. We didn't fail. The marriage didn't work. And so it's important that people realize
Right.
that I'm not a failure. She's not a failure. The marriage didn't work.
Right, that's
And my
it.
mother was always helpful. Because during that time, both of us were upset all the time, and my mom would say, "You're not the first, and you won't be the last." So it wasn't no scripture; it was just stuff like that.
Period.
And just to that end, I'll share one final story that's in the book because I think it's helpful. During the time that we had already decided we were going to divorce, we'd gone through all the counseling and all of that. Shout out to Dr. Mike Freeman and others who just spent time with us and making sure we were okay. We came out of counseling on a Saturday, and on a Sunday we had a guest preacher. The guest preacher's preaching, she's doing her thing, and she says, she's kind of drawing these comparisons. How many people used to smoke weed? How many people and it was designed to show that the church has a compilation of a bunch of people that have gone through the same thing, right? So one of her final questions was, how many people happy in their marriage? Right now, keep in mind, we had just decided the day before that we were going to divorce. I stood she stayed seated.
I was like this.
Right? But it was my last ditch effort to keep my face on.
Right,
because
right.
I got all these people I'm responsible for. You know, I need them to know, hey man, we come on now. She's like, no, I'm not playing the game anymore. We're not. So I think for me, that was the most painfully prophetic moment. It wasn't painful that we were going through the divorce. It was painful that I was still trying to hold on to a face and recognizing that it wasn't going to work. And we're great friends today, but it took a time for me to come to an authentic self to even realize that it's okay, that I'm not good at everything. You know, the marriage didn't work, it's okay. I was gonna live beyond it, but I needed to take off the face of trying to please everybody in the congregation. That was the day they found out that we won. So they all found, oh, y'all not happy, right. So we were able to move on and be cordial and be friends beyond that moment. And so that was a very teaching moment for me, that I didn't have to live in that face anymore. And it's liberating. You know, I didn't have to do it anymore.
All right, man. Well, thank you.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate
Yeah, that
that.
was
Thank you for
good.
your story and sharing.
Yes,
Thank you.
most
You know, being
definitely.
willing to share it with us.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
People can call that number that's on the screen to get a copy of Faces.
Yes, sir.
Faces.
You want to hold it up?
Oh,
well.
goodness.
Chapter 6. We're gonna take chapter 6. Chapter 5. Chapter 5, right?
Chapter 5.
Oh, there's a picture of Wayne.
There we
No
go.
pictures of Wayne. No pictures of Wayne in the
We're
book.
gonna take a quick break. We'll come right back with Sammy's Corner. Faces, everybody. All right, welcome back to the show. Before we get started, Wayne, I gotta give a shout out to Uncle Frank Dixon,
Yes.
who is 86 today.
I
Is he
don't
86?
believe it. I don't
Yeah,
believe it.
86 years old today. That's from your loving wife, Flossie.
Flossie.
She usually sends a picture, but I've lost so many of his pictures.
She like, she
throughout the
not
years. She's
sending you another picture.
So you won't get another one, but she still wanted us to give him a shout out. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Uncle
Dixon.
Frank. Well, Trippy,
Yes.
my favorite part of the show,
That's right.
the Congo Hour, and I have two of my favorite people here. So this is like, I'm like almost in heaven.
Welcome to Sammy's Corner. Let's turn it over to Sammy and his guest, Tom Gordon.
Well, I'm just so pleased to have my good friend Tom with me today. We just came back from a really impressive gathering. People seem to be very serious about the decision that was made to free the gentleman who killed Trayvon Martin, and it was such a mixed crowd.
It was.
It was not black folk. It was the Jewish community from their rabbis. It wasn't just a Jewish guy. They had the top guys there who said, "We are with you.
Yes.
My community is with you in your efforts." We also had the president of, or the pastor of the Central Baptist, the Central Presbyterian, which is right on the corner of, what's that, 11th and Market, the big church with the big steeple. And he was very, very interesting. Said a lot in a short period of time, but he said that his community is with our effort to do something about that poor decision that was made. I guess the most heartbreaking experience that I've had today was to hear about a Afro-American who minimized and said, I don't know if he said, let's forget it, or let's go forward and leave all this other stuff alone. I mean, he said things that I never thought that I would ever hear a black man say.
This was at the rally?
No, this was on
Television, Channel 28 earlier today.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I heard about that.
It was embarrassing to know that a black man of his stature would address this issue the way that he did. it just took all the fire out of me. It took all the everybody knows it was very political, and yet a black man would say that it's okay. And I don't want to say that he said it was okay, but he minimized it. And one of the things that he said that I thought was crazy was he should not have had the hood on. And the white minister said today that 15 years ago, if he walked through the same community with his hat on and his walking slow, we wouldn't be there today, because that gentleman would have said welcome. The one that shot him would have said welcome and never even thought. We know in Wilmington that if our young men should happen to stray just a few blocks west of Green Hill Avenue and get into that neighborhood, they would be stopped too. They would not be welcomed, and they would not be left alone. I can remember as a young man in Newark, Delaware, if we strayed a little bit past the railroad tracks, not only would we be asked to leave, but we would be picked up and put in the car and take us back to where we belong. Yet, all the college kids that were not Afro-American could come in our neighborhood and go to the Elks Home and dance, and we accepted them freely. But we were not allowed to even be on Main Street if they thought that we weren't purchasing. And we couldn't walk up and down the street like any other young people did. We were asked to go back. Where are you going to shop and where's the money? And if you could not produce revenue, you were asked to leave and go back across the railroad tracks. So this kind of behavior still exists.
I think too, Dad, that's why this trial court has so much momentum, because so many people can relate to it. Can relate to what happened to Trayvon Martin, of course not being shot, but how he was profiled.
Right.
So many of us can relate to that, no matter your stature in life. It still happens. I'm sure it still happens to you. It happens to me. I'm sure it happens to you, Wayna. So I think that's why so many people are rallying around it, because it's so relatable. It's a topic that's so relatable.
Most definitely.
It was funny. I was sort of in what they call the bucket with the new car, and a policeman followed me, and he didn't stop me, but he made it clear that he was following me.
He probably ran your tags and didn't stop you because it came up Congo.
Yeah, but if you have a car, you can be stopped if that officer does not feel comfortable that you have earned it through going to work every day. But I think you should have the civil rights to own a car without being stopped by the police department. But it was interesting today. We had some great speakers. My friend Tom was there with me. We decided to go to the rally together. And tell me what you thought about
that. Was put on by IMAX and the NAACP, Richard Smith, Reverend Beeman. It was a wonderful, a lot of great speakers. They have a great purpose. That stand your ground law. Clearly, they were told, but Martin was told by the police to stay in your car. And I got to believe the police would have responded, talked to the young man, Martin, and he would have said, I live over there. They would have get in the car and took him there. They would not have been a problem. And I think what they want, what we all want, is to have that law not come to Delaware. But the way you end profiling, which is what you're talking about, is you have a diverse workforce. Because if other blacks are on the police department, they're not going to let you profile. And but I think in Florida, he was told to stay in his car, and he went after that young man. So I think we were all shocked by that verdict, and clearly there's going to be a civil rights investigation. We'll see where that goes.
And a lot of people bringing up the fact that how come Trayvon couldn't stand his ground?
Right.
How come that was only for Zimmerman, and why wasn't Trayvon allowed to stand his ground?
Right.
It's a tragedy.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a tragedy. And a lot of people are still, while that case does deserve attention, we just don't want to forget, like locally, what's happening
Most
right here
definitely.
in Wilmington. We had a little girl who was shot.
5
years old. Yeah, 5 years old. Of course, unintentionally, but she was still shot. And where's the cries for justice for that?
Right.
Is that being covered up by people who know who did that? Somebody knows who did it.
Most definitely.
Yeah, but and how do you protect the person who, even though it may have been an accident, they still shot a 5-year-old little girl? Hopefully she will be okay. I think she was shot in the leg, but still she was shot. So how do we protect the person who did that? There's still a lot locally that we have to deal with. Not trying to take anything away from the Trayvon Martin case, but we still have a lot of things going on right here in our community that we have to address and be just as passionate about. So I definitely want to not let the momentum just be about that case, but it has to be across the board.
Right. I was getting on Facebook, they were saying the same thing. It was as if we're minimizing the things that's happening right here in Wilmington. But I mean, I don't want, like you said, I don't want to say that we're minimizing, but it's something like that brings national attention, that hopefully, as County Exec says, laws will be changed, we won't have that law here, and hopefully laws will be changed in Florida and the other states that have those laws. So that's where our politicians come in hand. Legislation, we have to change some things and make some things happen. So, yeah. But I thought it was a very nice crowd. There was old, young. It was a very mixed group of people. I thought the gentleman, the young guy that sang "To God Be the Glory," he said, what if he was to walk in? It could have been him walking in the neighborhood with a bag of Skittles and iced tea. It could have been my son.
Right.
Hunter wears hoodies and so. But I guess the other thing is that we talked about that this morning, that it wasn't. Because he was in a gated community. He should have asked some questions first.
But his father lived there.
That's right, exactly. Like, who are you here with? Like, I wish we knew that whole story.
I guess the crazy part to me is what gives anybody the right to question anybody that's just walking down the road.
Well, they're saying because he had the hoodie on, which in that community, our counterparts probably, I'm not going to say probably because everybody wears hoodies nowadays, but they're saying because he looked different from everyone else.
That does not give you the right.
Yeah, he didn't have the
No,
right
I know
to
he
do
doesn't have the right to
Okay.
do it, but that was his excuse.
Right.
Yeah, but we're going to reevaluate. We have crime prevention programs all over the county and city. You carry a phone. I want to make it clear. They shouldn't be carrying a gun. They're not out there to do the police work. Carry a phone, call the police. That's what you're taught.
Right.
Not go hunt somebody down.
Right. And listen to what the police
Police
officer
said,
tells
stay in
you.
your car, you did your job, they're gonna come, they're gonna catch him. They're gonna find out what he's up to. That's clear, and we're gonna make sure it's clear in Newcastle County.
Right. So he took the law and a
been
life
carrying a gun.
in his own hands.
Suppose Trayvon Martin had a gun permit,
Right.
okay? And he felt that when he turned around, this guy was coming down on him. And turned around and fired a round into him. Would he have gotten off?
I doubt very seriously if he would have.
I do too. And that's what we're talking about. This racism, this way that blacks are handled. The one lady gave an instance where a lady just fired a gun in her house
And yep.
and went to jail.
Yeah, for 20 years.
20
She was a
years.
victim of domestic abuse,
Right.
and I think her husband was threatening her, so she went and got a gun. and fired it in the like in the ceiling, like as a warning, and she got 20 years.
What state was this?
Florida.
Same state.
Yeah, it was in Florida.
But they say the law says because it was a domestic.
I think it's because she left and came back. That's how they're trying
really?
to justify it, because she didn't have to come back to the scene, but she left and got her gun and came back. And that's how they're trying to justify it. But at the same time, she was a victim of.
She was probably
yeah.
like, listen here,
Yeah, exactly.
you got one more time to put your hand on me.
Exactly.
No, you had your last time.
Yep.
Yeah.
But Zimmerman was told to leave,
He definitely was.
Yep.
and he kept on going.
Right.
There is no difference, because he was told by the authorities to back off
Get in your car.
and leave. And so he decided that he was going to track this guy down and do something to him.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of, I guess, preaching to the choir, because the people who are listening to us pretty much know that it was an awful kind of experience that the entire, I'm sure that not only in America, but countries that read our papers and know what happened, they think that America is awful to do something like that. And so we have to keep striving and working hard and trying to get our folks to realize that we have to overcome what we're dealing with. And some things are going to happen on behalf of us.
Do you think a change will come in your lifetime?
No,
You don't.
no.
How about you,
Even though
County
I'll
Exec?
live to be 100, you know.
They said the call to action is that same group is trying to put that stand your ground law in Delaware. So you don't have time to wait. If that's true. They're saying is, churches need to mobilize, citizens need to mobilize.
Yeah, I'm not sure if a change will even happen in our lifetime, until we really start looking at the root causes of some of the issues that we're dealing with today. We focus so much on what's the word I'm looking for? On the after, like the effects of
Right.
of
Instead of pre-maintenance.
Right. We focus so much on arresting people and drug rehabilitation, even though that does need to be something that is addressed. We focus so much on trying to clean up our mess that we forget that we're not trying to prevent the mess.
Right.
Whether it's I've been talking about this for weeks. Whether it's education, whether it's really investing in our neighborhoods. We don't invest in our neighborhoods, and then 20 years later we're saying, look what a terrible neighborhood that is over there, when there was no investing in that neighborhood for the past 20 years. I think, Dad, you gave a great analogy last week when you said, don't take a crap in my hat and say that and then blame me for stinking.
That's a good
yeah,
one.
It was.
You
mean
said
that
that, Mr. C.
Yeah, don't not
He did
educate.
say
Yeah,
that.
don't not educate our children, and then when they're adults,
Right.
say look how they're acting now.
Right.
Look how they're killing each other. Look how they're selling drugs to each other. Look how they're destroying their neighborhoods. That's not fair. Don't do that. Like don't not invest in our neighborhoods and then say, well, look at that neighborhood. And that's not fair. And until we rally around those issues like we're doing around Trayvon, I don't really see any serious change happening right here in Wilmington and in Delaware. I get an email from my guy, and I wish I knew his name offhand, but hopefully he'll come on the show pretty soon. He talks about the almost corruption in our schools, in the Red Clay School District specifically, and how they just squander millions of dollars a year.
Is his name Mr. Wells?
Yeah, I think it's Jay something Wells.
Yeah,
he's a man who investigates and does his homework with the Red Clay School District, and maybe like every 3 or 4 days he'll put out an email to elected officials and maybe some people in the public also of how Red Clay just does a horrible job of being fiscally responsible, and how that money could go into educating kids, but it's going into top level supervised, and that can't. It's not just Red Clay. It's probably every school district that squanders money, millions of dollars. And until we hold school boards accountable, and until we hold the governor accountable, until we hold city government and county government accountable, I just don't see us making any real change. We just can't stop focusing on like the effects of not educating our kids. We have to get to the root causes of why we're not doing it. And that same group that was at Rodney Square needs to be in Dover.
Most definitely.
And it needs to be on city at the city county building. It needs to be at the county exec's building.
They don't need to be there.
Yeah,
We're good.
yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
We
got
good. We good.
We got
But
your
we
back.
need to show that same type of effort in
Right.
in trying to fix some of the problems that we have here locally in Wilmington.
You know, I hear a lot of you guys really saying nice things like those groups should be here and there. I think that there should be some criteria for council people that say, here is what you must do, and be judged on a maybe bi-monthly basis, saying you need to develop your community groups. And that's your job to do that. And when you need something, you can depend on that community group to come to city council. They're not going to come on their own.
Right.
And we understand that. But until the council people stop being the judge and the jury and not include the people who elect them, they knock on every door while they're trying to be elected.
That's a good point.
And yet those doors disappear after they're elected, and then I see them playing games with votes
Oh, yeah,
that
definitely.
affect those people that elected them that get no benefits from them. So I think that kind of system has to be invented, because if those people aren't putting pressure on them,
We do whatever we want.
yeah, that's right.
That's
That's
true.
absolutely right. Go
That's true.
and make decisions without their support.
Yep, that's true. We get, and I think so many people in government go into government with a clean and pure heart. But you get in there and things change. You get caught up in the system. You get caught up in friendships and doing favors and not wanting to be the radical.
Right.
But somehow, like you said, Dad, we have to get back to a point where our communities are involved in government. Our communities will trust us, and our communities will show up. It's like, I guess being on council, I can really see how much money we waste. Even in our little city council budget, we waste money that could go towards education. So I know it's even more with the administration, with the mayor's side. It's even more in the county. It's even more in the state. So I just know we could be doing so much more. I'm not trying to put it out there like I'm just some perfect councilman, because I'm far from a perfect councilman. I need to do so much more. But I think that until we really take a serious look at ourselves and stop placing the blame on everybody else, I don't know if we're really gonna get to that point where we can say that we've made some serious change. Because I didn't really join council. I said this a little while ago. I didn't really join council because sidewalks were messed up, or because the tree limbs were too high. Like I really want to be a part of something that makes some significant change in my lifetime. But I don't know how we're gonna do that if we just continue to play games and base what we do on relationships.
Very good. Very true.
See, I think that nothing that you guys bring up should be even entertained if there isn't, and I don't think that they should ask for the bill. I think that the community should ask for the bill and then go through that process of getting it. I mean, now a city councilman has to introduce it and do all that stuff, and I think that it can be done without any community person being there at all. So that's the system that I would like, and then we're going to get more support from people. Well, I think Sammy's Corner's over. Last time we had to deal with Storm and Norman. We was a minute over, so I don't want to have to.
Well, I know Norman has his hour, and he has the last hour. He's going to be talking about a great issue, which is racism as well. So.
Well, I'll be calling in
You
on
gonna call in?
Yeah, we are calling.
I'm gonna say, County Exec, you have anything you want to say before we?
No, I started out here being his driver tonight and ended up here. So I'm very honored to be here. I'm prepared
Okay.
without a tie.
But you were out, fighting for justice. So.
Yep.
Mr. Congo, he's going, he's gonna be Mr. Congo. But.
Thank you. We're going to take a quick break.
And we'll be back with Trippy with our funeral announcements, weddings, and community news.
Okay, welcome back. At this time, we're going to have our funeral announcements. First, we have Mr. Wendell King, age 63, who departed this life July the 10th. His services were held on Friday at the Congo Funeral Home on 24th and Market Streets, and his burial was private. Mr. Dino Gilliam, age 64, departed this life July the 12th. His funeral services were also on Friday at the Congo Funeral Home on 2nd and Gray Avenue, and his burial was held in the Grace Lawn Memorial Park. Miss Phyllis Golding, age 81, departed this life July the 12th. Her services were held yesterday at the Abundant Life Apostolic Church, and her burial took place in the Grace Lawn Memorial Park. Mr. James McClinton, age 71, departed this life July the 17th. His funeral services will be held on Wednesday, July the 24th at the Ezon Fair Baptist Church, 1400 B Street in Wilmington. Viewing will be from 9 to 10:45 only, and his burial will take place in the Grace Lawn Memorial Park. Elder Howard L. Brown, age 100, departed this life July the 17th. His funeral services will be held on Friday at 7 p.m. at the Congo Funeral Home on 24th and Market Streets. Viewing will be from 5 to 6:45, and his burial will take place at the Grace Lawn Memorial Park on Saturday at 10 a.m. Mr. James Hunter, age 78, departed this life July the 15th. His funeral services will be held on Wednesday at 11 a.m. at the Star of Bethlehem AUMP Church, 1203 Newport Gap Pike at 11 a.m. Viewing will be from 9 to 10:45 only, and his burial will be private. The services for Ms. Dolores A. Weatherly, age 77, who departed this life July the 17th, will be on Wednesday at 11 a.m. at the Grace Church of God in Christ, 2106 Edgemont Avenue in Chester, Pennsylvania. Viewing will be from 9 to 10:45 only, and her burial will take place in the Haven Memorial Cemetery in Chester, Pennsylvania. And that does conclude all of our funeral announcements. If you have any questions, please call us at any time at 652-8887. Also, you can always go to our website at www.congofuneralhome.com. I guess, Wayne, just before you do your community news, I want to congratulate Tamara and John Bernard. That's how you say their last name, right? Yeah, so. Bernard. It's kind of spelled kind of different, but I want to congratulate them. They were married yesterday. That's Miss Edie's granddaughter. Works
Miss
with
Renee's
us.
Daughter.
Yeah, Miss Renee's daughter. I mean, Miss Edie works with us at the funeral home.
Right,
so,
I know.
yeah, I want to congratulate them. I think we have a picture of them.
Yeah.
That we're going to show also. So congratulations to Tamara.
That's a nice
and
picture.
It is. It's a great picture. To Tamara and John, who were married on yesterday.
And they're on their way on their honeymoon.
That's right. Congratulations to to both of their families too.
Yes, most definitely. Well, modern technology. Thank you, Sean Allen. He texts to say that they caught the shooter of the 5-year-old little girl. Shot in the leg. He was caught in from New Jersey he's from New Jersey, so they got him.
That's
so
good.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate that. And then I have the Prevailing Church presents Beating the Odds Youth Summit, which is going to be Monday, July the 29th from 6:30 to 9:30. The ages are 12 to 25. It's free. It says, Father, bring your sons. The address is 34 Parkway Circle, which is in Newcastle, and the number is 322-3355. Once again, the number is 322-3355. They're going to have a panel discussion. There's going to be free dinner served, and Pastor Haskell's are the pastors. So I think this is an excellent opportunity for fathers and sons to come together. Come out and fellowship Angels House Ministries, where all that matters is what God thinks of you. 446 Moores Lane in Newcastle, Delaware. Join us for worship and experience a life-changing, soul-stirring encounter on Sundays at 3:30 p.m. and noonday prayer on Mondays and Fridays. For more information, call 468-9063. That's 468-9063. And New Holiness Fellowship on July the 28th will have their Family and Friends Day. The address is 1010 Wright Street in Wilmington, Delaware. It says, come out and have a blessed day with Jesus, and all are welcome. Christian Growth Ministries presents an evening of praise with Alexis Spite from Sunday's Best, August the 24th. Doors open at 4 p.m. The concert begins at 5 p.m. sharp. Tickets are only $25. For more information, you can call 654-5588. That's 654-5588. You okay with me doing this?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. It's time for our annual community cleanup day. We're going to be cleaning the Southbridge area, and we're going to have a pre-sign up this Saturday, July the 27th, and we were going to do it for the youth in the Southbridge area. We still going to do that?
Right. Yeah, I definitely
Okay.
want to
Make sure that
they are that they have a chance to participate first in cleaning up their own neighborhoods, because I think that's probably been one of our failures in the past, that we've gone into different neighborhoods in the city, and we didn't put the neighborhood, we didn't give them enough notice so that they could participate.
Right.
And I think that's important.
Okay.
That they be out there, trying to clean up their own front steps first.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So on next Saturday, they can meet me at Ezon Fair Baptist Church, 1400 B Street, from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. to pre-sign up.
Okay.
And then on Saturday, August the 3rd at 9 o'clock, everyone will be meeting at Ezon Fair to meet there. That will be our central meeting location, and then we will disperse and go from there. So we want to thank Pastor Curry for opening up the doors and allowing us to come in. And we also want to thank Councilwoman Hanifa Shabazz for spreading the word in the Southbridge area.
Yeah, she's on it already.
Yes.
People already calling, saying that they've heard her talk about the cleanup. So I definitely want to thank Hanifa.
Yes.
And we definitely need volunteers
Yes.
adult volunteers to come out there and be a part of the whole cleanup, and maybe be a part of the trip afterwards.
Maybe, right.
Maybe we'll see how good you clean up.
Right, so you can give me a call at 521-7325, or you can go to our Facebook page, the Congo Hour, and inbox or leave a message. I'll make sure that I will get back with you. So once again, my number is 521-7325 if you have any questions about our community cleanup. I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We better get off
let's wrap it
anyway,
up.
right?
Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Again, if you ever want to be a part of the Congo Hour, you can call Wayna at
521-7325.
Or you can go to the Congo Hour on Facebook, or give us a call at the funeral home at 652-8887. Stay tuned for Community Crossfire.